Krishna, 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 Hey. Krishna, 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 Hey. Krishna, 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 Rakshamam. Krishna, 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 Pahimam. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahimam. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, we've been reading the 29th chapter of Krishna book, and this is called the Ras Dance Introduction. So this is dealing with the intimate leelas of Krishna and the Gopis, and Prabhupada is giving a lengthy explanation into how these pastimes are not material in any way, because the verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam, they explain that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. He's all opulent Lord. He's full of all opulences, which means he's not lacking anything. He's not a lusty person. He's not hankering for some satisfaction. He's not in want of anything. Yeah, he's simply engaging in loving pastimes with his very fortunate devotees, the Gopis. And then he goes on to say how great these Gopis are. Yeah, and he's explaining the difference between love and lust. These Gopis, they were willing to do anything and everything to please Krishna. Yeah. So there's a small story I could tell just to summarize what we've been reading so far. Would you like to hear that? Yeah. So this is a story of Krishna's headache. Does anyone know that story? Has anyone heard that story before about Krishna's headache? No?
Yes.
In the Dwarka.
That's right. Actually, would you like to tell the story?
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. One time Krishna was sitting there eating, and then Rukmini, and they asked why, and he had a really headache. They did everything they could do it, but his headache was not going. So they asked what can be done to get his headache off. And he says, any devotees, if they give me his dust of his feet, and that's applied, then they will. So all his wives say, we can't, because we have to serve you. We can't give you that, and we don't want to give, I think, if I'm right, that our karma or whatever, I haven't got the word. So no one would do that. Everybody's trying to say, no, we can't. Then they were sent to ask to go to Vrindavan and ask the Gopis. Gopis has the real love for him. They would do anything for him. And I think, was that they went somebody, I can't remember exactly, sorry. But yeah, they went, and then they say that there's a message from from Krishna. Krishna has got a very bad headache. And so all the Gopis said, what can we do for him? How his headache can go? We don't mind doing anything. We don't, but said, you will get you giving your karma, or you'll get the bad karma. And said, doesn't matter what we have. We can give our life to Krishna. It's our life, soul, life. So they said, it's all needed your what's called dust from your lotus feet. And they said, yes, no problem. We'll take anything, and we have to do it. They just put their shawl on the floor, and they just jumped and they did it. And then they said, take it as soon as it can. take it, and we just want him to get better. So see, their love was so spontaneous. They didn't care. We sometimes say, no, seniors, we can't do this. We can't do that. Or for Krishna, we can't do that.
They said they don't mind to go to hell to
They
please
said,
Krishna.
they said they don't mind even
That's
going
right.
to hell if they have to go. But for Krishna, they would do that. And then they took the dust, and that he was better. But it was just like his plan to see who loves him the most. That was he was trying to teach his wives.
Yeah, wonderful pastime. Thank you for retelling that, Mataji.
Yeah.
You can see the gopis have this super excellent quality of unalloyed devotion, pure devotion. Huh? They didn't even mind to go to hell forever so that Krishna could be relieved of his headache just for one moment. Yeah. So this is the caliber of the devotees we are reading about now. Yeah. So just to set a nice scene, so we can understand more about the how dear these gopis are to Krishna, and how dear they always are to Krishna. So this week we're going to start reading from which paragraph are we starting from actually? I'm just trying to find it.
The appearance of the moon increased Krishna's desire to dance with the gopis. Page 257, depending on which you have.
Yes, that's right, Prabhu. The appearance of the moon increased Krishna's desire to dance with the gopis. That's the one, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So if we can have a few more devotees volunteering to read, then we can just begin. Anyone else would like to read as well? Jay Prakash Prabhu will start us off. Hey, Prabhu, do you want to begin?
Sorry, Prabhu. How many sort of roughly paragraphs are we?
It's about halfway through the chapter. I'm not sure.
Oh,
Quite a few. 1, 2, 3. Maybe 10 or 11 paragraphs in.
Okay.
So we read about the moon. We were reading about the moon, a few paragraphs about the moon, and now this is kind of the last paragraph in that section about the appearance of the moon. Begins with that. Okay.
Thank you.
Everyone else found it? Yeah. Okay, let's begin.
Okay. The appearance of the moon increased Krishna's desire to dance with the gopis. The forests were filled with fragrant flowers. The atmosphere was cooling and festive. When Lord Krishna began to blow his flute, the gopis all over Vrindavan became enchanted. Their attraction to the vibration of the flute increased 1,000 times due to the rising full moon. The red horizon, the calm and cool atmosphere, and the blossoming flowers. All the gopis were by nature very much attracted to Krishna's beauty. When they heard the vibration of his flute, they became apparently lustful to satisfy the senses of Krishna.
Right, so here he's giving a very beautiful description of the environment of Vrindavan at this time of year, the Sharad season. Yeah, Sharad is like the autumn time, but it's not too hot, not too cold. Yeah, summer is like piercing heat. Yeah, and winter is freezing cold actually in Vrindavan. It's very cold. So this time of year, the Sharad season is like ideal because they have these nice, beautiful breezes. Yeah, as described. Yeah, and the moon is going through the sky, and there's a beautiful reddish color in the sky at that time. Yeah, red horizon. We discussed last week how that is like, because these stars which the moon surpasses is like his wives. He has 27 wives, the moon planet, and so he's like adorning them with the what do you call it? On the forehead they kumkum, that's it. Yeah, so that's also reddish color powder. So it's compared to that. Then of course Krishna's flute is blowing as well. Yeah, so the gopis are so attracted already to Krishna. Yeah, already since, like, you know, ever since they've seen Krishna for the first time, they've always been attracted to him. And Rupa Goswami, he mentions that, sorry, I think it was Jiva Goswami, he mentions the first time that the Gopis seen Krishna was when everybody ran to the river Yamuna, when the Kalya snake was dancing. Then everyone became afraid because Krishna had gone into the water, isn't it? So all the boys had called for help. They had fainted. Some of them had drunk the water. And then, the elderly gopis came. And then, of course, everybody just came. Everyone just came to the Yamuna. So that was the first time that they saw Krishna. And then what did Krishna do? He started dancing on the Kalyanag. So that was the first time they saw Krishna. So ever since that point, they've always been attracted to Krishna. And so now it's said that here, their attraction to Krishna is increased by how much?
1,000 times.
1,000 times.
1,000 times. Yeah, because the whole atmosphere is an environment so that they can have this enjoying dance. Okay. Now, Prabhu, if you could continue.
Hari Bol.
Oh, yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, it's
Chaitanya,
very important to understand last line. Well, part of the last line. But normally, when we become lustful, so to enjoy or to satisfy our own senses, but here it says that they became apparently lustful to satisfy the senses of Krishna. So that's not the lust what we have in the material world,
Yes, that's right, Prabhu. Yes, so it's important to understand this point because Krishna is Bhagavan. He's the all opulent Lord. He's full in all opulences. He doesn't desire anything. He's not hankering for anything. And the gopis, they don't have any personal sense gratification. They don't want to enjoy Krishna for themselves. They want to simply serve Krishna 100%. Like we explained in the story, they would do anything. They would even go to hell to please Krishna. So having that, the gopis who are pure devotees and Krishna who's the Supreme Lord, then any activity is not based on lust, it's purely on love. Yeah. Thanks, Prabhu, for pointing that out.
Even Krishna's senses are already satisfied, but in this case, Krishna takes more satisfaction because he's unlimited.
Yes, Prabhu. So the pastimes are always increasing, isn't it? In the nectar. Always increasing in the nectar and service. Okay. And we also mentioned previously how the gopis, they'd done this Katyayani Vrata the previous year. They all wanted Krishna as their husband. So Krishna is fulfilling their desire himself. So this is what the point is here. Okay. Prabhu, if you could continue.
Immediately upon hearing the vibration of the flute, they all left their respective engagements and proceeded to the spot where Krishna was standing. While they ran very swiftly, their earrings swung back and forth. They all rushed towards the place known as Vamsivata. Some of them were engaged in milking cows, but they left their milking business half finished, immediately went to Krishna. One of them had just collected milk and put it in a milk pan on the stove to boil, but she did not care whether the milk overboiled and spilled. She immediately left to see Krishna. Some of them were breastfeeding their small babies, and some were engaged in distributing food to members of their family. But they left all such engagements and immediately rushed towards the spot where Krishna was playing his flute. Some were engaged in serving the husbands, some were themselves engaged in eating, but caring neither to serve their husbands nor eat, they immediately left. Some of them wanted to decorate their faces with cosmetic ointments and to dress themselves very nicely before going to Krishna, but unfortunately they could not finish their cosmetic decorations or put on their clothes in the right way because of their anxiety to meet Krishna immediately. The faces were decorated hurriedly and were haphazardly finished. Some even put the lower part of their clothes on the upper part of the body's upper part on the lower part.
Okay. So this is a description of the scene as Krishna is blowing his flute, and the sound of the nectar coming from the mouth of Krishna is entering that flute, and then it goes through the flute holes and it comes out, and then the sound vibration transmits across Vrindavan and into the ears of the gopis. Yes, and that sound which has come straight from Krishna's very own lips, entering into the ears of the gopis, this is how it's making them respond. This is the effect which Krishna's flute is having on them. Yeah. So they're not seeing Krishna at this moment, but they're just hearing the sound of the flute, just hearing the sound of Krishna's flute. Yeah. And I can see what is the effect that it has on the gopis there. Which points could you pick up from there?
So by Hare Krishna, by hearing the sound of Krishna's flute, the gopis left their husbands, their children, and all the things they were doing, and yeah, just hearing the sound of the flute, they just left everything.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, they left. So obviously it was like a busy time of the evening. There were so many responsibilities. Yeah? It's just coming to what's it called? Dusk. I think like when the sun is still there and the moon is still coming up. Yeah. So some of them are milking cows, or some of them are collecting milk. Some of them are serving their family members. Some of them are just feeding or eating themselves. Yeah, or some of them are dressing up, and to such the extent that even if they're getting dressed, then it's not like they're finishing what they're doing. You see, so it's not like they were preparing themselves to meet Krishna, but Krishna just happened to call them at that point in time, and because Krishna was calling them through the sound of the flute, they left everything. Yeah. That was the surrender to Krishna. It wasn't that like they were preparing that evening that they were going to meet Krishna even. But Krishna called them, so straight away they were ready, no matter what. Or even not ready, as the case may be. Yeah, but still they would go to Krishna. Yeah. So it's like imperfectly perfect in one sense, right? So outwardly it seems like imperfect, but actually it's very perfect because their surrender is perfect. Yeah. So in the matter of performing devotional service, again, this point comes up, is that the mood of the service has to be perfect. The desire to please Krishna has to be perfect. We should always strive for that desire, that whatever Krishna wants, it should be done that way. Yeah. Or whatever Krishna wants, whenever Krishna wants, however Krishna wants, however much Krishna wants. Yeah. It should always be that way. So this is the attitude that the gopis have. Yeah. And externally, so many things may go on, properly or improperly. But this bhakti is propelled by this desire to please Krishna. Yeah. Anyone else would like to share or any thoughts on this? Let's move on to the next one.
I've got a reflection, but completely, it's around a desire to please Krishna and how Krishna picks up on that, but not related to a direct service, but related to japa. Don't know if it's the right place to say, or perhaps towards the end of the class I can share that. That's something that happened to me yesterday and this morning. So, yeah.
Okay, since you brought it up, you can share it.
So very, very, very quickly. So yesterday, so I've recently started doing 16 rounds. Yesterday, I did a few rounds in the morning, and then I left the rest of the rounds for the evening. in the evening, I had some time to do it, but instead of completing my rounds, I just ended up spending time on work and then on my WhatsApp messages, etc., and ended up not completing 16 rounds. This morning, I had a japa service, and then yesterday in a class, I was hearing how doing the japa, it actually gives pleasure to Krishna. So although we do it for us, for our peace of mind, it's actually giving Krishna pleasure by doing the japa service. This morning I had a japa service on a Tuesdays, which I do, and I completely forgot about it. And I muddled up my days thinking it to be a Wednesday, and I missed that service. And it starts at 5 o'clock in the morning. I remembered at 6 o'clock, and the first thing that I wake up and I remembered was that, Krishna made me forget about the service because I didn't give pleasure to him yesterday. I didn't complete my japa, which I really could have done. I left it for today, but he reminded me in a very merciful way, not in a harsh way, but in a merciful way, in a way that, I missed my service. It made me feel guilty, and I'm never ever going to repeat that again. I'm going to ensure that when I have the time, I finish my japa rather than prioritizing something else. But it's true. It just kind of reminds me that, how by giving pleasure to Krishna brings pleasure to us.
That's an important reminder, yeah. Krishna made some arrangements for you so that you could remember that. Thanks for sharing that. Yes, so japa is meant for it's for preparing our consciousness so that we can serve Krishna. So from the beginning it's pleasing to Krishna, and at the end it's also pleasing to Krishna. In the middle it's also pleasing to Krishna. Because we are trying to serve so that we can chant nicely, isn't it? If we serve nicely, we can chant nicely. And if we chant nicely, we can serve nicely.
Yeah.
And if we're only chanting and not doing anything else, then that is also very nice in itself. It's complete.
But it actually kind of reflects what we've just found out about the Gopis, that the Gopis actually get more pleasure by making Krishna happy, and that's the actual mood of devotion, isn't it? So we feel happy only when Krishna is happy, and that should be the actual. We shouldn't do service to make us happy or for our benefit. We should do service only when we realize that by doing our service, it's making Krishna happy, and that in turn makes us happy.
Yeah, it's an important point, yeah. And we can see also that the gopis are already so Krishna conscious, you see. They don't have any preparation. Even at a moment's notice, they're ready to drop everything. So this is the difference between sadhana and siddha. They're already perfect. Their Krishna consciousness is perfect.
They're fully surrendered to Krishna, isn't it?
Sorry, Mataji, couldn't hear.
They're fully surrendered to Krishna.
Fully surrendered, that's right, yeah. That's the right term, yeah. They're fully surrendered. So we surrender to Krishna based on a lot of conditions, isn't it? If I have the time, or if something's going wrong, then I try and surrender to Krishna more. Yeah. But theirs is unconditional. Yeah. Fully surrendered. Okay.
Yeah, we see our own convenience.
Yeah, our own convenience.
Yeah, actually we make ourselves a frame of a comfort zone frame, and we don't want to come out of a comfort zone. That's why we find, no, I can't do it at this time, I can't do it then. But we see gopis have got no comfort zone. They are ready, like outside, sun rising, slowly will rise, but then when the sun really comes up, all the rays come straight. So like gopis are like that, waiting for Krishna's call in any ways, and they will run. So that should we try to get it, that spontaneous love for Krishna's service, and not our comfort. Yeah, in comfort, everybody can do the service. There's no problem. Yeah, we got nothing to do, then yeah, that's good. I'm free today and I've got nothing to do. I'll come and do whatever. But when we do it in a real time, when Krishna needs that service is needed, that's when it's called the love for Krishna. Thank you.
Yeah, serve him in any situation. That's pleasing to Krishna.
Some nice points, yeah. You know, like we always taught surrender, surrender, surrender. And then in the small print we've got at your convenience. So we have to rub that bit out. Just simply surrender. Do whatever it takes to please Krishna. So the reason that we're struggling with that surrender, is because we think that is not going to work out. Yeah. We think, oh, but what if? Oh, but what if this? Or oh, but what if that? Yeah. But if the Guru has instructed that, you know, this is the best thing for us, yeah, certainly that's going to take us towards perfection. Yeah. So we have to have that faith. So faith comes in order to aid us to surrender. We have to have that faith. It has to be there.
Yeah, I'd just like to share one thing recently what I've done. I never driven into London, hardly on my own, especially. And then I decided, no, now I must go back to service. But I can't travel by bus and that because of the situations and all that. I didn't want to use public transport. So I was just talking to my teachers and rather, how can I come, you know? And even that, remember the line of our Indian bhajan, Kaise aau re kannaiya tere dham, no? So that is why. And then I thought, no, I have to, if I take, I have to come out of my comfort zone, you know, that was my comfort zone, that if somebody drives me, then I will go or something like that. And I made an effort and I went. And it was so nice. It was like the experience I had on that day, going there and seeing them. And that's, I felt I'm home, back home. This is my real home, you know. And like 15 months I haven't been there. And it was so like welcoming. I felt like parents who welcome you. And I've started now. And like next week, this week again, I'm starting second service for Prabhu. Then I thought, okay, Jagannath, what can I do? Prabhu can't come yet. So I approached Prabhu and I'm doing. So it's we have to come out of the comfort zone, you know. And Krishna always fulfills our desire for one way or other way. Oh, yeah. So that was, I just thought I'd just share a little bit.
Another wonderful point. Yeah. Thank you, Mataji, for sharing that. So we have this idea of a comfort zone. Yeah. What I'm comfortable doing. Sachinandan Swami, he gives this explanation. He says, you know, you have your comfort zone, which is like if you have a circle, the middle is the comfort zone. And outside that, you have another circle. So that's like your stretch zone, you know. And then if you stretch too much, outside of that, you have another circle, which is the danger zone. So really, we shouldn't, you know, take risk, so much risk in our service that we're going to put ourselves in danger. And we shouldn't be so relaxed in our service. We just stay in the comfort zone. But we should be in this middle one, this stretch zone. Yeah. So we should stretch ourselves a little bit forward to serve Krishna. So that's called Raganuga Bhakti, Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. So that's when we do sadhana, but we're stretching a little bit more than what we can do in our convenience. Yeah, and that's actually what will propel our spiritual life if we're just stretching that little bit more. Even in Hatha Yoga or other yogas, you know, they have like, you can do your stretches and your exercises, but if you're not actually, you know, pushing yourself forward, then you're not going to progress. The same with our bhakti yoga. We have to be in that stretch zone, but not in a danger zone. Yeah. So let's continue then.
While all the gopis were hurriedly leaving their respective places, their husbands, brothers, and fathers were all struck with wonder to know where they were going. Being young girls, they were protected either by husbands, elder brothers, or fathers. All their guardians forbade them to go to Krishna, but they disregarded them. When a person becomes attracted to Krishna and is in full Krishna consciousness, he does not care for any worldly duties, even though very urgent. Krishna consciousness is so powerful that it gives everyone relief from all material activities. Sri Rupa Goswami has written a very nice verse wherein one gopi advises another. My dear friend, if you desire to enjoy the company of material society, friendship, and love, then please do not go to see the smiling boy Govinda, who is standing on the bank of Yamuna and playing his flute. His lips brighten by the beams of the full moonlight. Srila Rupa Goswami indirectly instructs that one who has been captivated by the beautiful smiling face of Krishna has lost all attraction for material enjoyments. This is the test of advancement in Krishna consciousness. A person advancing in Krishna consciousness must lose interest in material activities and personal sense gratification.
Right. So again, here we can see how the gopis, they are fully surrendered to Krishna, isn't it? And Prabhupada is giving us a nice instruction here of what is the test. What is the test actually? Of if we're progressing in our Krishna consciousness, how do we know? What are the two symptoms?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Smita Mataji.
The two symptoms are losing interest in material activities and personal sense gratification.
Okay. What do those two mean, you think?
So anything material that we like watching TV, that's an example where, it's that's for sense gratification, I would say. Material desires like, I don't know, I want to buy this or buy that, or just, so you would lose interest and you would be more focused. And if you did want to buy something, how can I buy it to serve Krishna? Or if you did watch TV, how can I, only if it's going to be benefit for me to advance in Krishna consciousness. So we've tried to forget all our own personal longings.
Yeah. Does everyone agree with that one? Yeah, makes sense. So material activities is like activities which is not connected to Krishna. Yeah. Sense gratification will mean that, as Mataji says, it's doing something which is not offered to Krishna. Yeah. So we can do things, we can use our senses, but they have to be used in connection with serving Krishna. So this is the test, like as we progress in spiritual life, we want to see that more and more of our activities on a spiritual level, and everything that we do within our so-called material life is actually, it's all Krishna Prasad. It's all something we're doing for pleasing Krishna. It's something we're all doing, offering to Krishna. Yeah. There's a very nice poetic verse here stated by Rupa Goswami. Yeah, so this is in Prabhupada's commentary. This isn't from the Bhagavatam as such. Did you see the meaning of that verse? Yeah, could anyone explain it in their own words? Just as an aside, I actually really love this verse. At one point I had it printed and I put it across my altar just because I really liked it. It's such a beautiful message in this verse. It's actually poetry, what Rupa Goswami is saying here. Is anyone able to recall that verse from what we read? Okay, so I'll just explain it then. So one gopi is explaining to another gopi that if you go to Keshi Ghat and you happen to see Krishna standing there playing the flute, then you're going to lose all your friends, you're going to lose all your material connections in this world. What are you doing? Why would you go there, right? So it's said in an opposite kind of way, because the gopi is saying don't go there, but actually what Rupa Goswami is saying is go there, go there. Because when you see Krishna, when you see Govinda, then all your material desires are going to be dissipated. They're all going to go away. So don't delay and go there. And then he gives a beautiful description how Krishna is standing by the Yamuna, playing his flute, and his lips are brightened by the beams of the full moonlight. So that's exactly on this night of the Ras Punim. Yeah. So nice meditation, right? All right, so unless there's any other comments, we can continue. How about we have the next reader now, actually, Shamrani Mataji? Just conscious we're actually finishing early today. Okay. Rather, we're starting late, so.
Hare Krishna. Some of the gopis were effectually detained from going to Krishna by their husbands and were locked up by force within their rooms. Being unable to go to Krishna, they began to meditate upon his transcendental form by closing their eyes. They already had the form of Krishna within their minds. They proved to be the greatest yogis. As it's stated in Bhagavad Gita, a person who is constantly thinking of Krishna within his heart with faith and love is considered to be the topmost of all yogis. Actually, a yogi concentrates his mind on the form of Lord Vishnu. That is real yoga. Krishna is the original form of all Vishnu Tattvas. The gopis could not go to Krishna personally, so they began to meditate on him as perfect yogis.
The gopis, if they could, those who couldn't go to Krishna, because some of them were not able to go, yeah, and you can see in the circumstances their husbands are there and so on, they couldn't leave the place. They were actually able to meditate so perfectly on Krishna at that time, yeah. So Prabhupada says this is actually perfect meditation as stated in Bhagavad Gita. So there's that verse in the last verse of chapter 6, Yoginam api sarvesham mat gatenantaratmana shwadavan bhajate yomam samayukta tamomataha. That Yoginam api, the best of the yogis is the one who meditates on me always, and they have complete faith in devotional service. Shwadavan bhajate yomam. They're Shraddhavan. So we say Krishna is Bhagavan, isn't it? Which means the one who owns all opulences. So then the devotee is Shraddhavan, the one who has complete faith. Yeah, Shraddhavan and Bhagavan. So they have complete faith in bhajan, in serving Krishna. Yeah. So Krishna considers that to be the best devotee in Bhagavad Gita. So this is actually a verse about the gopis from the last verse of chapter 6 in Bhagavad Gita. Okay, you can continue.
Okay. In the conditioned stage of the living entities, there are two kinds of results of fruitive activities. The conditioned living entity, who is constantly engaged in sinful activities, has suffering as his result, and he who is engaged in pious activities as material enjoyment as a result. In either case, material suffering or material enjoyment, the enjoyer or sufferer is conditioned by material nature.
Okay, so this is a verse which is explaining how the conditioned state is. There's duality, yeah. And now we're already seeing how the gopis are above that duality. Because someone will say that this is a sinful thing or this is a pious thing. So people may argue that Krishna consciousness, is a pious activity. It's like a good karma thing. They're doing something for good karma. Or someone may say that the gopis are doing a sinful thing because, they're leaving their husbands and all their responsibilities. But Krishna consciousness is neither pious nor sinful, is a transcendental, is above that. Yeah. Okay, so continue.
Yeah. The gopi associates of Krishna who assemble in the place where Krishna is appearing are from different groups. Most of the gopis are eternal companions of Krishna, as stated in Brahma Shamhita, Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibha Vitta Biha. In the spiritual world, the associates of Krishna, especially the gopis, are the manifestation of the pleasure potency of Lord Krishna. They are expansion of Srimati Radharani. But when Krishna exhibits his transcendental pastimes within the material world in some of the universes, not only the eternal associates of Krishna come, but also those who are being promoted to that status from this material world. The gopis who joined Krishna's pastimes within this material world were coming from the status of ordinary human beings. If they had been bound by fruitive action, they were fully freed from the reaction of karma by constant meditation on Krishna. Their severely painful yearning caused by their not being able to see Krishna freed them from all sinful reactions, and their ecstasy of transcendental love for Krishna in his absence was transcendental to all their reactions of material pious activities. The conditioned soul is subjected to birth and death, either by pious or sinful activities. But the gopis who began to meditate on Krishna transcended both positions and became purified and thus elevated to the status of the gopis already expanded by his pleasure potency. All the gopis who concentrated their mind on Krishna in the spirit or paramour love become fully contaminated from all the fruitive reactions of material nature. And some of them immediately give up their material bodies developed under the three modes of material nature.
There's many points which could be raised from this paragraph. So we'll just focus on one aspect. So the key thing here is what's being discussed is that there are two groups of gopis that are coming to meet Krishna. One group of gopis is already eternal associates of Krishna. Another group of gopis, they've taken birth in Vrindavan from previous lives of practicing devotional service. Now this is the opportunity for that group of devotees who are born as gopis to become perfect and return to the spiritual world. Yeah, does that make sense so far? Yeah, so there's two groups. So Prabhupada uses a phrase here that not only the eternal associates of Krishna come, but also those who are being promoted to the status from this material world. So they're being promoted from being ordinary jivas in the material world, yeah, from being nitya baddha to being nitya mukta, to being pure spirit souls, yeah. So they're actually, the quality of the pure spirit soul is they actually emanate from Krishna's own body. They actually come from the spiritual form of Krishna, the expansions of Krishna, or the expansions of Radharani. Yeah. So they're being promoted to that situation. Yeah. In other words, they're becoming pure, completely pure by running for Krishna in this pastime. Yeah. So there's a lot. Then the other part of this paragraph is talking about how that's possible. So it's saying that it's not sinful activities or pious activities which is driving the gopis, yeah, or they won't get any sinful reactions, or they won't get any pious reactions from doing this spiritual activity. Rather, they'll become purified by going towards the sound of Krishna's flute. Yeah. So in another place, Prabhupada uses this this term, which I came across, which I thought was appropriate here. Prabhupada uses this term, apapavidam. I'm not sure what where it comes from, but Prabhupada uses this term sometimes to explain that Krishna is, how pure Krishna is, how being connected to Krishna is so pure. Huh? Prabhupada uses this term in relation to chanting, that imagine just by chanting Krishna's name, just think, by chanting Krishna's name, we become purified, isn't it? Huh? So Krishna is so pure that even the sound of his name is purifying us. Yeah. What to speak of if Krishna is personally calling you, yeah, and you're running towards him, he's personally calling you and you're running towards him, then what question is there of being contaminated? No question at all. Yeah. So Krishna is a apapavidam in that sense. Yeah. Because Krishna can remove sins from anyone, even from his own name. Even by his name, he can remove the sins of anybody. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect example is Sudama. Krishna ran towards him. Okay.
Yes. Sudama is another perfect example. That's right, Prabhu.
Yeah, Krishna gave up everything what he was doing at that time. There's another point which could be made from this. I suppose I won't go into that because we're short of time now. Yeah, we can carry on actually. I think this point can come up later on. So we've got just 5 minutes left. Who's the next reader? Madhvi Mataji? Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Raj Parikshit heard Sukdev Goswami explain the situation of the Gopis who assembled with Krishna in the Ras Dance. When he heard that some of the Gopis, simply by concentrating on Krishna as their paramour, became freed from all contaminations of material birth and death, he said, the Gopis did not know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They accepted him as a beautiful boy and considered him to be their paramour. So how was it possible for them to get freed from the material condition just by thinking of a paramour? One should consider here that Krishna and ordinary living beings are qualitatively one. The ordinary living beings, being part and parcel of Krishna, are also Brahman, but Krishna is the supreme Parabrahman. The question is, if it's possible for a devotee to get free from the material contaminated stage simply by thinking of Krishna, then why should this not be possible for others who are also thinking of someone? If one is thinking of a husband or a son, or if anyone at all is thinking of another living entity, then since all living entities are also Brahman, why are all those who thus think of others not free from contaminated stage of material nature? This is a very intelligent question because there are always atheists imitating Krishna. In these days of Kali Yuga, there are many rascals who think themselves to be as good as Krishna and who cheat people into believing that thinking of them is as good as thinking of Lord Krishna. Parikshit Maharaj, apprehending the future dangerous condition of blind followers of demoniac imitators, therefore asked this question, and fortunately it is recorded in Srimad Bhagavatam to warn innocent people that thinking of an ordinary man and thinking of Krishna are not the same.
Thank you, Mataji. So in this narration of the gopis running from their homes towards Krishna, Maharaj Parikshit, who's listening to this narration from Sukadeva Goswami, he stops to ask a question, a very intelligent question. So he's saying that the gopis seemingly don't know that Krishna is Bhagavan. They don't know that he's the Supreme Lord. Yeah. So is the effect going to be the same? Because they don't know Krishna is the Supreme Lord. They just think that he's a beautiful boy. And therefore, if the pastime is explained in that, if the pastime is unfolding in that way, then is it not the case that anyone who thinks of an ordinary beautiful soul, a beautiful person, then they will also become purified? Yeah. So that meaning can also be taken mistakenly from the pastime of Krishna. So is his question clear? Does it make sense? Yeah. So he's asking actually for our benefit. Yeah. He's asking that because some people look at it from this point of view, that if Krishna is Parabrahman and Parabrahman is pure, then Brahman is also pure. So why not anyone, every soul is pure ultimately. So it doesn't matter which soul you run after, because the soul, if you're running after the soul and the soul is pure, then you'll become purified. Is it not the case? No, it's not the case. You cannot become purified running after any ordinary soul. Yeah. You can only become purified running after Krishna or his representative. Yeah. So that was that phrase again I was mentioning, apapa vidam, Prabhupada says. Yeah, that Krishna can purify even the impure. Even like the sun, the power of the sun is different to the power of the heat. The radiance of the sun is more powerful than any ordinary torch or lamp. Yeah. The sun is so powerful, even it can dry up even urine on the street and purify that place. Yeah. You can't do that with an ordinary lamp or torch. Yeah. So that's the difference. The light power of the torch and the light power of the sun. So similar, it's the difference between Parabrahman, Krishna, and Brahman, which is just the jiva. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah. Also, to understand more, we can say authority and a higher authority. So qualitatively, they're both the same, but one has got a one has got a higher quantity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like criminals. There's a case in the court, and then if the case is not resolved, then they go to high court.
That's right. This is exactly what happens in the pastime of Ajamil, isn't it, Prabhu?
Yeah.
That the Yamadutas, they come to take Ajamil away.
Yeah.
and they're not allowed. The Vishnu Dutas come and stop them, and they become confused. They go back to Yamaraj and say, what happened? You know, this like really sinful guy, he's done every kind of sin, and we can't take him away just because he said Narayan once. What's that all about? So then Yamaraj tells him, yes, but Krishna is the Supreme Court, not me. And his representatives, they have power over us even. And so then, of course, we know the story. Ajamil was freed from that situation. Eventually became liberated, went back to Godhead. So, yeah, nice example, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yeah, so Vishnu Dutas classified higher authority than Yamdutas, because Dutas connected with Krishna, who is supreme.
Yes. Okay, so we're up to time now. Again, my apologies for being a little bit late this evening. It was a bit unavoidable. In future, I could always come on the same time, and you can have fun with my daughter for half an hour.
Actually, the 8 o'clock suits me better, Prabhu.
8 to 9, yeah?
Because Tuesdays are always long days at work for me.
All right, okay. Yeah, you can always join a little later if you need to, and catch up on recordings. So we'll stop here. The next week we'll begin from, because this was just Maharaj Parikshit's question. So we'll read from Shukadev Goswami's answer next week. So leave you a cliffhanger this week. What's Shukadev Goswami going to say? All to be revealed next week. Okay. So we'll finish with our japa time now. So if those of you who are not able to join us any longer, thanks very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So leave now, Prabhu. I'll join next time.